live.
Hello again in presence. Welcome all visitors to the internet. You should have been here probably. Anyways. What I'm going to do before actually one Students' Council member takes over to present a bit more about infrastructure given at TU Darmstadt, I will present a short live demo on TUCAN and the different Moodle systems used. It's really a very slight overview. Because you have to play around with the system itself anyways, or the systems. But there are some interesting things to encounter in both systems probably, so let's have a closer look. It's not followed by any slides, or there are no slides existing later on, so there is only the recording available if you want to have a closer look, but there are small groups and whatever, and fellow students you can ask as well later on. This is the TUCAN backend system. A few years ago, we actually had slides, and we created screenshots from all these steps for the process of registration to modules, courses, and so on. But first of all these pictures looked exactly the same, with only very small differences to each other. And secondly, we have access to the test systems in the TUCAN backend, so I can actually grab a few of you, change names, addresses, and whatever, and your password, and just show live how to register, for example. All right, let's directly start. If you have any questions on anything I say, just raise your hands. I'll try to answer the questions directly in parallel to this talk. After me, as I said, Joachim is going to introduce some more things on IT infrastructure in the university. All right, so this is something you all should have encountered by now, probably because you try out whether you already have a functional TU ID. If not, fair enough. That's the landing page, the start page of our TUCAN management system front end. So the first thing to do is, of course, to log in with your credentials. If you don't have your TU ID and your password, you're almost unable to do anything in hindsight of registration or whatsoever at the moment. As I explained earlier, gather the information, join the courses, and register later on. And I will just start with the AIML program. No. Okay, was? Nee, noch besser. Also, that is probably the most realistic live demo on TUCAN. No, the most realistic was actually this morning for the bachelor's freshmen, because I had the classical timeout after 30 minutes, for example. So if you don't do anything in TUCAN for 30 minutes, you're just automatically logged out. And I prepared everything for the talk, opened the laptop, accessed the backend, tried to do something. It was like, no, 30-minute timeout. No. So. And actually, sometimes it just takes 30 minutes for a refresh of the website. At least it feels like. So, totally easy. Thank you, you're welcome. All right, so after you registered, you logged in TUCAN, you have the first page. The first thing you see, messages, TUCAN messages displayed. There will be a lot of TUCAN messages over time, yet please try to have a look onto the same. Usually only the more important information is provided via TUCAN system messengers to your courses you selected, for example, but also generic ones, and sometimes just really unimportant information like an update of a system or whatever. Anyhow, it's hard to figure out in advance which message is important, which not, so have an eye on the same. Besides this overview of the messages in TUCAN, nothing really to see here. So, okay, TUCAN is our management system for you as students in our university mainly. What can be done with TUCAN? Yeah, first of all, of course, you need to register to modules, courses, exams, and whatsoever. There are different types of programs. I will show that live a little later with the computer science program as an example. But to start with a bit easier examples, let's stick with the AIML program at the moment. because you don't have any selection process before you can actually see the modules to be registered. So, I want to register. Well, so at first glance, I would actually expect something like registration. Good luck with that. In German, it's Veranstaltungen. In English, it's actually courses where you have to steer in. Okay, let's follow the same. Courses. Oh, so look, registration on the left side. Let's state it the following way. I don't think that TUCAN is going to win a prize for usability anytime. Anyhow, okay, cool. So, of course I want to register the modules, so I'm going to steer into my modules, right? Yeah, no. No. This essentially means that you can see to which modules you have been registered so far after you registered. Okay, so then apparently registration is the right step to go for. I'm enrolled in an English taught program. Why is nothing stated in English? Oh well. Probably the worst of all explanations because it isn't one, historically grown. Anyhow, so that's one of the reasons why, even though you're probably only English speaking, enrolled in an English taught program, it might make sense to grasp a few of the words used for specific terms during your studies in German as well. Or just memorize it by heart in which area to steer in, and then it's fine. You will encounter several different areas. For example, Wahlbereiche und Studium Generale, translated, the elective areas and general education area, right? So, the master thesis, remedial coursework, imposed conditions, additional courses and further courses. I have no idea what further courses mean. And I was here when we introduced TUCAN at the university. I was part of the whole process for the Department of Computer Science. There is nothing to select. Never has been. If you encounter something displayed in further courses, please directly let me know, personally. All right, anyhow, the additional courses, not so much of interest. Under specific circumstances, this area may be used actually to register some courses you're not able to register in a good way if you want to switch study program the semester later, for example, right? So in preparation of switching. You have to discuss the matter on individual basis with us anyways. I can explain that later on then. Or if you want to go for something just for your personal interest. If you want to take some extra courses in the language facility, for example, and you already covered the maximum of 24 credits, or 21 credits, or 18 credits, or whatsoever, depending on the study program you're enrolled in, of 6 credits in different programs, then you can, of course, still register via TUCAN in additional courses. Those credits won't be counted towards your degree, neither with credits nor with the grade, right? And due to legal base, it's also not possible in general to transfer those courses after you've taken them into counting regular areas of your study program. Because otherwise you could just register everything offered from the university and afterwards decide I want to take this 1.0 and this 1.3 and whatever. And that's not what we want to have in our university. So therefore, by law, it's usually restricted and forbidden under specific circumstances. As I said, for example, in preparation of switching to another degree or something, if you get in touch with us, discuss the same in advance, then it might be possible to use this area. Otherwise, it's just additional for you. You can fetch a transcript later on about the courses you've taken there and whatever, so you can show the competencies gathered, but it's not counted towards your degree. The master thesis can't be registered by yourself anyways. It will be shown there at some point after you registered for the same, but you need to submit the registration form in the examination office, Studienbüro. First of all, you need to find a supervisor and whatsoever. And all the details have to be changed by hand on individual base for each thesis anyway, so the topic, for example, right? So nothing to register here in this area actually as well. All right, so one big generic area left. Oh look, now it's translated. Anyhow, so the elective areas, general education. General education essentially is everything offered in our university for all students without computer science. And that's only half true, as always, because some courses from electrical engineering, for example, may relate to computer science as well. And there are probably a few exceptions in other departments as well. But this is to be covered anyways, yes? Ja, irgendwie. Wo ist denn das Plus? Ah. Right, okay, let's start first of all with the most important information probably ever gained during the orientation days. You don't applaud at a university, it's applaud by acclamation. Thanks a lot. Okay, anyhow, so let's get back to TUCAN because we still have to spend a bit of time until we register to something. Okay, so general education, offers from other departments and the language facility. Different registration periods. That's a really important thing. For example, if you steer in the course catalog, in the area of the language facility, on top of the website displayed, you will encounter that they have a very limited registration period ending on October 15th already. So if you want to take language course this semester, hurry up, right? So you always have to cross-check if you want to take something from another department, how their rules are. So that's also quite a generic, common rule in our university, in the departments. Their offer, their rules. On the other hand, our students, our problems. Okay, so let's go for the elective areas first of all. Again? Why? Well, now it might come into hand if you have already checked your examination plan I mentioned earlier, part of the official documents of your study degrees, your study programs, because you will see the distinction between the different areas and the names and whatever, allowing for a bit more reliability when steering into a specific area here. So the seminars, labs, teaching interns, practical labs and teachings whatsoever, that's one of the areas in the AIML program, and the other ones are the so-called Fachprüfungsareas I mentioned in my talk this morning. So let's steer into this, elective areas. Okay, cool. Ah, 4 different elective areas where you can actually register for the so-called Fachprüfung, so lectures, integrated lectures mainly. Let's go for Foundations of AI. Okay. And you think, this is already it? No. Okay, so let's just assume I want to register for probabilistic graphical models, which is actually, by content, from my point of view, an interesting course. Okay, anyways. Okay, cool. So I'm finally where I wanted to be, so let's start the sheer registration process. Okay, cool, I want to register. Really? Yes, yeah, no, really, sure, yeah, that's the right course, yeah, I want to register, sure. Really? Yes, I want to register. Okay, cool, so, cool, so now I'm officially registered, right? No, not really. As you can see, another registration link is popping up. A short excursion into Bologna-Lissabon, European Bachelor Master System. A module is a container. The container has the credits. Within this container, the module, one can have one up to an infinite amount of courses. Of course, not really an infinite amount because technically it's limited. Anyhow, so 1 till n courses. And you get the credits after you secured all the necessary criteria in the courses for this module actually, right? So therefore we have the distinction between module and course, and you need to register to both because sometimes the exam is bound to the module and sometimes the exam is bound to the course. And in order to be able to register to the exam later on, and I unfortunately can't show that by now because the exam registration period has not started, and that's, as I said, it's a test system but based on the backend of TUCAN. So in order to be definitely able to register for all modules from any department or facility or whatever, older ones from our department and newer ones, register to module, course, and then you're definitely able to register to the exam as well. Okay, but it should be a bit easier now to register to the course, right? I want to register. Some other things happening. Why? Interesting. If you encounter something like this, you most likely have to, mandatory, register for the exercise group as well. There are two different reasons for the same. Either it's mandatory part of the course due to whatever reason, or probably you need to register because this is a course where all material and communication, whatever, is handled in the central HR set Moodle system. And then you may find in the course schedule, in the course description, the word Moodle in, I think, online components or something is the field. You scroll down. In that case, you have to register in TUCAN to the small group, the exercise group, and then you will be automatically shifted into the Moodle course in the central HR set Moodle system. And there's no other possibility for you yourself to get into the Moodle course, right? But you have to look that up. Either this buzzword Moodle is stated, or probably it's actually something that's free to participate, and still you may have to register. Depends on the modeling in the back end of TUCAN actually. Okay, so let's go for this small group because we have a big selection possibility here. And as you can see, no limit. That would be stated on the left side. So if there are small groups, they may limit that actually in TUCAN. Then you can see the capacities for each appointment on the left side. And the people already registered for the same, that's actually from last week, 113 people have registered for the module and this exercise group in the winter term. Okay, good, we selected that. So yes, now I'm definitely sure I want to register. You're really, really sure? Yes, I'm really, really sure. Oh, come on, really. And now you're registered to one module and course. And you have not yet done the exam registration. Pain in the ass. Make sure that you cross-check your own registration, at least in the first semester, in a good way. It's really easy to create an issue here. And the thing is, for example, if you participate in the exam and you have forgotten to register for the exam in the registration period, and the exam has already started, nothing we can do about that. Then you learn a lot about how the exam works, and then you can repeat the same a semester or a year after. Really make sure that you're registered. If you're not sure, the only way to cross-check that is actually to drop by in the examination office or in student advisory. We have access to the backend, we can see whether you're registered in the right area and whatsoever. You can't, because it's TUCAN. Ah, come on, it rhymes, and everything that rhymes is good, right? Okay, anyhow. So the thing is, really, after the registration, you have to make sure that you steer into the right area because, and now the biggest issue, in the additional course area, all of our computer science courses are offered as well. So if you're not 100% sure, it might be the case that you register in the wrong area, not counting towards your degree, for example. Also interesting because you gather the competencies, you can provide the proof of the same, but you still have to take another course. So make sure to stay in the right area, probably make screenshots or something, or let someone else have a look on your computer, on your registration. Probably don't use a handheld for the same, because sometimes if the display is not big enough, or if you use the wrong handheld, one of the links is missing, not displayed, and it's not possible to access the same because it's way too far on the right side of your non-existing display whatsoever. All right, cool. So now you're registered to module course. You just have to attend then, follow the materials and whatever, and take the exam and pass the same at the end. You can see when you're registered, of course, your registration via my modules, my courses. Also, if you need to select a specification or an area, you can steer into the elective subjects, and also the current registrations for the current term, and so on and so forth. What's not really reliable, unfortunately, is the schedule here. At least it's also not really a nice thing to use from my personal point of view. So most of the students, at least after, ladies after one semester, tend to create their own systems. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Okay. Because I'm not taking any lectures anymore. I finished my studies in 2007. Anyhow, so the course, the schedule, probably as a starter, something you can use, but try to figure out your own system where you note down all the times and appointments and whatever, because that's not always reliable. The course catalog should be already known. That's just Vorlesungsverzeichnis in German. You can access the same without any TUID in order to identify when the lecture takes place, if you have no TUID so far, for example, and so on. And then, in Germany, we're so fast with digitalization. That's something I really don't believe myself at all. Anyways, finally it's possible to make some requests online. So another important, because beforehand, so I think 2 years before, everything has to be fetched in paper form, submitted in paper form. We're on our way, but it's a long way apparently. Anyhow, so another thing really of interest, besides the examinations, where you can see the registered examinations and whatever as soon as the exam registration period starts, is service. And in service, you can see, first of all, your personal data, cross-check whether everything's fine. For example, if they have mistaken first and last name, or something. You can see your own documents. So that's, I actually don't know what the first one is. I don't care. Your certification of enrollment, if you get a scholarship, for the scholarships, your admission letter, and of course the documents for your applications you conducted. And apparently this person has conducted 4 different applications, at least started 4. Interesting. And the forms. So in case you change your address, for example, or your name, or your gender, or you want to get exmatriculated, or whatsoever, this is your first starting point in order to have a look whether you can actually do that online or not. Not everything so far is possible online. Because they can. Oh, if you use the English translator TUCAN, in the seminar, that's a good hint actually, in the seminar lab area, sometimes you will encounter not lab or project or whatever, but internship. We don't offer nor accept industry internships in our study programs. That's the wrong translation. What's meant is hands-on lab, actually, rather than internship. The only real internship in this area is a teaching internship where you can get actually credits for, 5 credits for so-called teaching intern, Praktikum in der Lehre. But then you have to help in the teaching, for example. So supervising exercise groups for other students or whatsoever. Real internships in industry, not accepted, not offered, not organized, no information available whatsoever. Research-oriented university, not industry-related university or University of Applied Science. That's a big difference, and probably one of the most misunderstanding or misleading terms actually in TUCAN, because every semester a few international students are dropping by. Where can I find the office for the internships? Not. And I have to explain that on individual basis every time, so therefore I'm stating that randomly now to each and every one of you in the hope that not so many students are dropping by in the next few weeks.
We have a question from the internet that will send you a little. I can't have a...
Okay, the question is it correct that I can't see any courses in my TUCAN yet under Vertiefung? Yes, that's most likely correct, and I will show that in the next account I selected, because that's the computer science, and I show how to select the specialization first of all. Right, so that's probably of importance. And the only other area most likely of importance is if you want to switch your study program or take up in the second one. In that case, it's again application. You should have seen it because you applied for the study program already, or the study programs. It's shorter because you're already enrolled now. You don't have to submit all the documents in paper form again and whatsoever. Yet, you will have to create the whole application, finalize it, and then again, TUCAN is quite misleading. First of all, at first glance at least, it seems like everything's fine, but it isn't. Not at all. Because if you then go back, after you finalize your application, for example, to take up a second degree or switch to another one, and you switch back to the overview, and then print the application. And then you will encounter the situation that not the whole application is printed or generated or whatever, but a short form of 2 to 3 pages. The first one is an explanatory page, can be completely ignored. Nothing to do for you with this PDF you get. You just have to send that to application@informatik. Because we have to finalize the form, submit it back to the central facilities, otherwise you won't be able to switch your program or take up another one. For example, we have to sign and stamp the field that you have not finally failed one of the mandatory courses from the program you want to switch to. We don't have mandatory courses in our programs. Welcome to the bureaucratic Republic of Germany. We still have to sign and stamp for each and everyone who submits this PDF, this field, even though it doesn't make sense at all, right? So therefore we need this PDF, and in case of a German Matura, entrance qualification for the degrees, if you want to switch to an English program, the English language certificate. If you're an international student with an international entrance qualification, you need to provide this language certificate then to the International Mission Office. That's essentially it, but don't forget the same. This PDF, that's really, usually we try to get in touch with each and everyone who applied online a bit before the deadline gets closer and ask them, still willing to switch? In that case, we need the PDF. But with all these people running around here in the department and so few people working in the dean's office, sometimes we're just not able to. So have an eye on that. If you want to switch or take up a second degree, make sure that you provide the PDF after you apply it online. And that's essentially what you need to do in TUCAN. Everything else, detailed information, material for the courses, whatsoever, usually dealt with in one of the Moodle systems or via the websites, or I don't know. I mean, I don't think that it occurs nowadays anymore that someone is printing out scriptums and providing that on the outside of their offices, right? That was actually when I did my diploma studies, in the math lectures and in the basic studies. Every week we had to drop by and fetch the updated parts of the script by hand, actually in paper form. So compared to that, we have gone a long way in digitalization in Germany. And it's just, oh, I don't know, 25 years ago. All right. If you're not sure, I'm usually quite sarcastic. Okay, now to the difference in, for example, the German taught informatic program and the CS master. 03. So the first thing you see now, the difference is actually that in the computer science program we have 3 different specializations. What you can see in the registration already is theory and software and hardware, because those are catalogs offered and required for and by each and every one enrolled in the CS program. As goes for the additional courses and whatsoever. But you won't find, if you steer into this tree of your program in the specialization area where you want to actually register courses in this semester, you won't find anything. So therefore, courses, my elective subjects. And it's not elective subjects. It's elective areas, probably. Subject usually relates to one subject. That's just, again, not really correctly translated. We're actually not responsible for the translation in TUCAN. It's just, I'm whitewashing my hands. But, register, select electives. And now you can see the 3 different specializations currently offered in the CS program. Data science engineering, distributed computing, visual computing. And you first of all need to, and I just assume that most of you actually want to go for data science and engineering. Just a random assumption. Register, the same. Perfect. And now, if you steer into the registration, I recommend a mouse or something. And now you can see the specialization popping up. You're only allowed to select one specialization. So, but as long as you've not taken any achievement in the specialization, so not registered for exams or the achievements in seminars, labs or whatever, or deregistered in time for the same, it's not officially selected. You can't deselect it and select another one on your own anyways. But in that case, it's not counting towards your one possibility after you already have taken something in a specialization. As soon as you've taken an achievement in one of the specializations, it's counted as taken, as selected, and then if you look up the regulations for your study program, it's allowed to change the specialization once. Before you actually have taken an achievement or undergone an achievement, it's not selected, therefore you can just have a look, for example, and get the specialization change later on. Please don't use that to try out what is offered in a specific semester, for example, because you have to get in touch with the examination office, they have to deregister you for specialization by hand, send you an email and whatsoever. Again, if it's just 1 or 2 students, doesn't matter, we're fine. But with 4,500 enrolled students in our department alone, if everyone has a few of those 10 to 30-second issues, it sums up to an arbitrary amount of hours, actually. So in case to look up what is offered, for example, another specialization, probably look up the course description handbook or ask someone who is actually enrolled in the specialization already, right? And that's the difference and answers the question from online. So, another question. The people without TUCAN ID cannot see the starting date of the course. Yes, you can via the course catalog in most of the cases. One entry in the course catalog should actually be the starting week of the lectures and the lecture itself or integrated lecture. And if, for example, it's stated Tuesday and starting from October whatever on, and then you have an ending date, and that's usually the end of the lecture period. And then you should know that each and every week at exactly the times, is the same time slot, the lecture is happening. And you can see only the overview of all exercises. You are not able, for example, to register to one of the small groups and be sure in which one you're adjusted to if you have not TU ID so far. Then you have to get in touch with the lecturers in order to somehow deal with the situation on an individual basis before you register in TUCAN. But yes, and if that's not applicable, we do have Discord servers where a lot of students are actually quite active. Ask them, or probably ask them whether they can show you how to identify the appointment for such a lecture or whatever. All right, any other questions on this awesome TUCAN so far? Also die Frage habe ich gerade beantwortet.
Ach so.
Faster than light. All right. Then let's switch to Moodle. As I already said. Yes?
There was a hidden one.
Yeah, okay. I got an individual specialization. Well, congratulations, you enrolled in the German-taught Informatik Master's program. And we had to give the same name. It should actually be the generic Informatik Master, where you can, besides a few criteria you need to fulfill, actually completely decide on your own which courses to follow and which areas to follow and whatever. Yet, due to the structure, and as we probably want to offer some other specializations in this German-taught program later on, we had to follow this structure in TUCAN actually, so we had to give it a name. It's your personal general specialization, your individual specialization. And you have to select the same because it's a selection node, that's the correct term in the TUCAN backend, and there may be other possibilities in the future to select. Actually, at the moment, that's the only one. You still have to select in order to be able to register modules and courses in the AI, complex network, and security privacy areas. Same as in the CS Master, different name. Oh yeah, thanks. Okay, good hint. You are able, if you search for a course, for example, in the course catalog in TUCAN, right? Ich weiß nicht, wie man das komplett macht, aber ist egal. Alright, so let's switch to English. Whoa. Another a really good tip. Switch the language directly on the landing page of TUCAN, because if you do something and change the language later, you will be just moved back to the first page and you have to start from scratch on. That's the reason why I don't know what these credentials and serials are actually doing in the link, to be honest. Anyhow, so the course catalog. As I said, you can access them without TUID. You can search for the appointment dates and whatever. You can see what the other departments are offering as well, and. A lot of things you can do. What you can do as well, you can search for the course, and then you can register by the search, and probably in some other way. I'm not really sure. Never ever register via the course catalog. Never. Why? Well, because TUCAN is a very polite tool. A very nice tool, actually, in that case. If there is more than one option where this specific module and course could be bound to, we're taking the least hazardous one. Oh wait, we're offering all our modules in the additional course area, not counting towards your degree. So if you register something via the course catalog, it will automatically be bound to the additional courses and not within your degree. The only right way to register is actually to follow the registration process, steer into the right part of your degree and register there. Because otherwise it's a lot of running around, discussions, whatever. It's not guaranteed that we can help you in this situation, so make sure that you register in the right way, right? Thanks for the hint. So that's really important. Okay, what we also explained, or what I said earlier, and I think earlier in this talk as well, if you encounter this Moodle word, the buzzword, in the course description, in the course catalog, for example, then there's an automatic boundary between the backend of TUCAN and the central HRZ Moodle system. There's no other option to get into the courses, for example, sometimes not even able to see the same. The URL moodle.tu-darmstadt.de. The one for the computer science Moodle is moodle.informatik.tu-darmstadt.de, so it's definitely no chance to probably don't steer into the right Moodle system or whatsoever. Okay, so anyhow, the central Moodle. Again, you need your TUID to log in, right? In the computer science Moodle system, you could actually get a temporary TUID to at least access the courses there. In that case, on the start page, there should be a contact. Guido Röstling, my colleague actually in the Dean's office, is responsible for the same, and he can easily provide a fake TUID for the interim time. And as soon as you got your right one, he can merge the accounts actually. So that's possible on an individual base. Get in touch with him via the Moodle course itself or the contact information to access the courses, at least in this Moodle system. So, both systems essentially the same functionalities. I mean, we're talking about Moodle systems. A lot of you may have already used something like that, or actually Moodle. You need to register in the right way. Forget my TUID, please. Or not, I don't care. I randomly guessed my password. Okay. What I personally, really personally, think is a bit, unfortunate, the distinction between start page and dashboard. If you search for new courses, always steer into start page, actually. Because here, what happened? Redirect. Wurde ich gerade rausgeschmissen? Nee. In the computer science Moodle, sorry. Yeah, in the computer science Moodle. Here in the central Moodle, into the course catalog again. And then you can search for the semesters you want to look up. You could actually also have a look into older semesters. If the course was already given and it's free to enroll in the Moodle course, for example, you could gather material or video recordings in advance, helping a lot to figure out whether you want to follow the course in the semester or not. Right? So that can be done. Besides, steer into the right semester, into the right department, so computer science, and then you will find, I spare any statement on usability, visibility, and whatsoever, okay? Brackets, list. That's actually what we have to correct by hand when we create module handbooks. Because we get exactly this out of the TUCAN backend, and then we have to actually substitute everything and then whatsoever. 40 hours. All right, anyhow, and then of course, you can see prerequisites and whatever, and now here, online offer Moodle. Not possible to get into this Moodle course on your own. For the same, you have to access TUCAN, register in TUCAN for the exercise group as well, and then at some point afterwards, a few days later, a few weeks later, depending, you will automatically be enrolled in this Moodle course. Let's probably go down to something else. They're all using Moodle, right? Georgia, 40 students. Subscription. You're not able to enroll yourself into the course. This Moodle buzzword is not the only limiting factor here. Sometimes they provide credentials in the first week of lectures on the slides or just orally. Sometimes it's actually restricted in general because the lecture is restricted in number of participants of the course. Seminars, labs, teaching, interns, whatsoever. In that case, you have to get in touch with the lecturers directly in order to figure out how to get in the course. In general, a lot of bilateral communication required in our department and in the university. But that's completely fine. Each and everyone knows. I mean, we decided to restrict the access to the course, so therefore everyone should be fine with students dropping by and asking how to get in the course, right? Do not hesitate, but leave us some time to answer. I personally hate it as hell when someone sends an email and starts sending reminders the next day. What do you think? What I'm doing the whole time, right? I'm not only standing outside having cigarettes, believe me. I would, but I can't. So it's really a massive workload in the dean's office. All our professors work in 70 and more hours each week. They have to conduct the courses. They actually have to do their research, publish papers, supervise their doctorate candidates and their postdocs, and. It just takes some time. So grant us a bit of time till you expect an answer. And if you at some point think, yeah, probably they missed the mail, drop by in person or send a reminder at earliest the week after. That's my personal experience. That should be okay to get an answer. But it might as well take 2 or 3 weeks. So anyhow, but they still expect that you get in touch with them. If they offer consultation hours where you can drop by, just be there in presence. That's the fastest and easiest way, and you usually don't, or at least you get seldomly a no directly into your face. It's easier to state no via email. All right, and compared to that, so slightly different layout and whatever, but there's the, in computer science Moodle, or as the Students' Council always calls it, the better Moodle system. And you have to log in, and there's the first thing you have to make sure to look out for. If you want to log in with your TU ID, you have to use this option. I was already registered with my TU ID in the other one, so it's a single sign-on. Therefore, if you're registered in one of the tools, you should be able to access directly the others without entering anything again. And here, if you want to search for courses, you have to access the start page. Scroll down a bit. Just important information. I just don't want you to sleep in the first weeks. Just read everything you encounter. No. Some information is important. I won't tell you which one. Okay. Winter term, elective areas, mandatory courses, whatever, essentially the same. Steer into the same and whatever. Let's just probably try whether there is an open course for access. That one, for example, seems. Yeah. Enroll into the course. And then you can see announcements, members, download possibilities for slides, whatever. It's usually ordered by the weeks of the semester, the lecture period, and then you can open the same. And as, of course, no lecture has happened, nothing is included, but you will most likely find the slides or video recordings then in this given week. So, and that's essentially structured. There are usually forums as well where you can communicate to other students or the academic staff members supervising the course and. Most likely, like in 99.9% of all cases in our department, it's either organized in the central or the computer science Moodle. In very rare cases, probably via their websites. As I said, we're not able to interfere. Their decision, if that's so outdated on that, their decision. Right, any questions on Moodle? Because everything else, just you can actually also create your own layout and whatever, you can play around a bit. Do the same. That's the best recommendation I can give you at the moment. Log into the systems as soon as you can, play around a bit, register to something, probably deregister, just to get used to everything and get your process straight. You will stumble a bit in the first few days and weeks. Usually most of the students after 2-3 weeks are used mainly to all the systems. After one semester, it's no-brainer. All right, any questions?
Online questions. Why isn't it possible to register psychology in the Studium Generale?
Because the Department of Humanities is not offering those courses for all students in our university. Why? There's a so-called capacity system for study programs, a number of enrolled students, NC, numerus clausus. You could get around this system if you gather sufficient credits in order to get adjusted to the third semester or higher. The easiest way to remove this option is to not offer the same courses. That's the whole explanation. That's relatable. It's a small department. They don't have that many professors in psychology. It's a very specific part of psychology and whatsoever. From my personal point of view, it's not the best possibility to proceed in general. I would at least, like the Department 1 Law and Economics, I would at least offer a few courses, but not sufficient to gather 61 plus credits. Then there would still be a bit of selection possibility from this area and whatever. That would be my way to proceed, but it's their decision. So, fair enough. Solves the situation. Any other question? Not from the auditorium. Internet.
Good. Just a remarks question. What happens if I register in the Studium Generale for a course, maybe in Faculty 18, that is also offered in our catalog in the non-Studium Generale section?
Then it will always be adjusted to the area where you register in. So it's your declaration of will. The registration process is your personal declaration of will. If you register in the general education, you're essentially stating, I want to get the credits of this module in this area. If you encounter any big issues afterwards or whatever, probably drop by in person so we can discuss the matter and it's not recorded. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay, I'll try to summarize it. So sometimes if courses are limited in number of participants, for example, and you're not able to register for the course done, you register the module but not for the course. Now the big question was, is there some kind of later on distribution of seats in some way? It depends, actually. For most of the language courses, it's actually possible to overbook. So there is a limit, but you can still register, and they draw straws afterwards. So it's just randomly, lottery, picking, also Strohhalme ziehen, drawing straws. That's the official version. It doesn't necessarily happen that often anyways that they restrict the number of participants in TUCAN. Because if you do the same, then it's actually first come, first served method. And there's no way around. So the first X students for X places get the possibility to join the course, right? That's usually the reason why it's not limited in TUCAN directly, but there is some mechanism afterwards. For the seminars and labs in our department, for example, you can't supervise an arbitrary amount of students for a seminar because you only have N topics, for example, in this semester. But way more students can first of all register, but then there will most likely be a kick-off meeting. Who's not showing up at the kickoff meeting, already out. And then probably some more explanations, so that probably someone are dropping out on their own. And then there should be some selection process. And the official only allowed one is actually drawing straws. There may be suitable ones, but the official allowed one is drawing straws. Get in touch with the facility. So if you really need to take it, for example, in preparation for something, or if you really want to get in, or if you have questions, you always have to ask the department or facility offering these modules. These two rules, right? Our students, our problems, yet they offer their rules. So I can only answer questions on our module and course offerings, how the language facility in detail deals with this situation, I'm not 100% sure. It is possible for the organizers, the lecturers, the examination officers and whatever to add students even as add-on students exceeding the limit. Usually only under very rare circumstances because there's a reason given why it's limited, right? But it is possible, and it is also possible that you can register to course, but later will be deregistered by them because other got the possibility to join the course in this semester. Any other question? Before the first lecture. Yes, wait, it's not a mistake. But the exercises are not taking place. Okay, the question was, there are exercises taking place the first time in TUCAN at least, officially stated before the first lecture takes place, for the same. They won't take place, but we had to book the room in advance because the semester officially starts on 1st of October and usually you have a bit of preparation time, probably checking the techniques and whatever. So therefore usually 1 or 2 weeks before the rooms are already booked and then they are automatically displayed in TUCAN. It's not possible to remove single dates. You see the whole row. As I said, it won't win a prize for usability. Neither for you nor for us, but that's the reason. And exercises are always starting at earliest in the same week of the first lecture, usually the week after.
Okay, we have some questions from the internet. Once you have made registration for courses in TUCAN, can you see your resulting schedule on the calendar? And I'm going to add to it, is there a better tool for viewing schedules on TUCAN?
Nochmal, was? Also das erste war irgendwie, ob man das im Kalender sieht.
Yes.
Also the first question, if you registered in TUCAN, whether you can see that in the calendar or in the schedule later on. Yes, but not really reliable and only after you register to the courses, of course, because the dates and appointments are bound to the courses, not the module. So module and course, and then you will see something popping up in this calendar thingy. I highly recommend to use it only as a starting base and then create your own system. Because it's, first of all, it doesn't look nice. Secondly, at least sometimes there are random courses stated, for example, you've never selected. Sometimes you don't see the right appointments you selected in the correct way. That's a bit buggy. Also even buggier than some other parts. Therefore, so as a starting base, yes, but then try to figure out your own calendar system.
Okay. Then going on further, what do I do if I figure out a course is given in German? For example, this does not apply here, Introduction to AI.
Well, it does apply. Introduction to AI can be found in the Foundations of AI in the AI/ML program. The idea was to offer this introductory course mandatory in our German-taught bachelor's program in case someone is able to follow the course and needs to close a small gap of knowledge. well, don't take the course. If you don't want to follow a German taught course. That's a mandatory course in different programs, German taught, therefore it has to be German taught. It's really an additional offer, but there are English recordings as far as I know, and English material in one of the Moodle courses. Ready, steady, get in touch with the responsible group, ask them for access or how to access the material, and then you can gather the same information in English and probably take an English exam then at the end and still get the credits. Yet this is really an additional offer as a security measurement. But as I stated in the morning already, there will be some German taught courses in an English taught program as the other way around. If you're not able to manage it, or if there's no offer for at least English material, consultation hours and exams, go for something else.
Good. Continuing. What is the deadline for registration?
Somewhat December, I think.
Yes.
Look up the website of the examination office. It's stated on their website.
Is selecting a lecture in TUCAN a pre-requirement for selecting and registering for the corresponding exam?
Yes, it is.
Good. Translated. How can I register for courses at the RMU, University Mainz and Frankfurt?
Okay, that's a very specific question. I'm actually not really able to answer in detail. As first of all, you have to register for this RMU studies here at TU Darmstadt. So first of all, you need to apply to be an RMU student. And then, if you want to follow courses from Goethe or Gutenberg Universität, you need to register there. You will get a student account there. Most likely you just have to follow the registration process as every regular student there. And at the end you will get a transcript for the courses. With this transcript you have to come back in order to start the process of transferring the credits from there to here. That's essentially it. But which systems they use and something about the details of the registration process for those courses and modules offered, I don't know.
Is this any different for any other university? I mean, I could just take any course in any university and get with the module to you in order to get it credited, right?
For transfer of credits, it's exactly the same afterwards, but the question was how to register courses in Frankfurt or Mainz. First step, register for the RMU studies. Then access the student account you get from the partner university and whatever needs to be done beforehand. And then not using TUCAN. I'm not sure whether Mainz still uses Justine, which is the same core, actually. But at least not TUCAN, so you need to get used to the other management systems, register there, and then fetch your transcript at the end. That's essentially it. But which systems they use, how they work out, I don't know.
Yes, in addition, we have got reports that Mainz is making exceptionally difficult for students to register, take advanced time before the registration period closes, because they have been noted to us to be really not eager to work on our registrations for Mainz. Then there's a question, I don't have it, you might not answer this out, I will read it out and say something for it, but if you want to answer it, you can. I don't have a TU ID yet, so can I get the public transport ticket? Is there any way to have it anyway, so I don't need to pay the ticket fees additionally? This is a question the AStA may answer. I'm going to throw them under the bus here. The AStA is the General Student Council at TU Darmstadt. They are responsible for the ticket. You will find them on their website, write them an email, state your situation. We cannot answer your question with any more information.
Well, and in general, the departments are not responsible for the generic and formal processes and conditions of your application and enrollment. We are only responsible for the subject-specific part. So no influence or whatsoever coming down to getting your TU ID or other credentials, your documents from the central facilities or whatsoever. So this has to be clarified against either the Studierendenservice or the International Admission Office. If there's some way to speed up the process of getting your TU ID and your student ID card on which your semester ticket is actually printed on. I think currently the cheapest option to get around a lot of way-to-way commute tickets would be the Deutschland ticket.
Yes,
most
this
likely.
is the ticket that would be provided for the students, but the AStA is probably
the
not
AStA
going to pay
is
it.
actually the Students' Council working out all the contracts with the public transportation systems and whatever, so that's really students working for students. Really helpful, really good thing to do, but they are therefore also the only ones who can finally answer such questions related to the semester ticket.
Yes, and go to them, ask them. Also, due to the limitation of this being streamed, we may not answer this question to the full extent. Okay. Okay.
I will just read them, right? Okay. Kann man, wenn man auf Informatik, auf Deutsch auch englische Module auswählen? So, if you study the Informatik program, the German taught one, can you register for English taught modules and courses? Yes, sure. If they're offered in your degree. Everything that's displayed in TUCAN is open to registration and will be counted towards your degree if you follow the right tree. So therefore, yes, your decision. Just make sure that you gather the information and that you actually have at least somewhat an idea whether you can follow and successfully pass the course. Otherwise, it's just unuseful spend time, right? So therefore, but yes, of course, sure, there is no limit on the language of instruction. The next question I can see, I registered for mobile network in the previous semester, I have it in my modules, but when I try to register for the course in this semester, it's not there. Is this totally normal? Yes, it is, because you are already registered to the module and the course. So, if you want to register to the exam, you probably have to switch back to the registration semester for your when you registered the first time in order to see the exam registration later on. And if you want to get into Moodle course, for example, you should get in touch with the lecturers if they use a central Moodle and whatsoever. It's a bit more running around, but you don't need to register again for the same module in the course, and you can't. So it's actually a typical situation. Any other questions? Yeah, okay. So if you have focused on if you were enrolled in a bachelor's and you took some courses for the master's degree, as I said earlier in the morning, at some point in time, somewhat, it will be automatically transferred. At latest when you submit your master thesis. In order to plan ahead and to see that on your transcript, if you want to apply for Deutschlandstipendium, scholarship, stay abroad, whatever, arbitrary amount of reasons to get this earlier on the transcripts, send an email to the examination office and they will then proceed with the process. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I can explain that. So it was a question about the Autonomous Systems Robotics program. Not specializations, areas. And there is essentially for each mandatory elective area a same named elective area. So why? Well, this was the only master's degree left that still had mandatory examination plans. As a student, you had to create such a plan with a combination of courses and credits in the different areas, and the coordinator had to cross-sign the same, right? The reason behind was it's a very interdisciplinary study program, a lot of mechanical, electrical engineering courses and computer science courses and so on. So depending on from which area you actually get into the program, for example, mechatronics or mechanical engineering or computer science, you will probably miss some basic knowledge in the other areas. And it's not always easy to see which is a good combination in order to get a job afterwards. So it was more about actually advisory and secure measurement rather than pressure or whatever. By dividing these previously given orders, sense, act, plan, and so on, into a mandatory elective with only a subset of the modules that are more basic ones, not that much prerequisites required, the requirement to submit such an examination plan if you're allowed to take exams was eased. That's the reason why we doubled these areas, and the elective areas is always the overall amount and combination of modules offered in this area, and the mandatory elective just a subset of the same. That's the whole idea. Any other questions? If not, I think we should probably switch to the other IT infrastructures, right? A lot of other things to see. Most of them not nearly as unusable as TUCAN. All right, thanks a lot. Have a nice day. See ya. Bye.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Ja, okay.
Und wie wir an TUCAN schon gesehen haben, steht TU manchmal für technisch unfähig. Aber dass das nicht immer so ist, wird uns jetzt der Joachim zeigen und noch weitere Infrastruktur und Webseiten und andere Systeme der TU vorstellen. Bitte sehr.
Thanks for the introduction. So let's get started right away because we only have 8 minutes. So for online participants, we have, as always, we have the questions. So feel free to ask questions. I have them on this iPad here. So why is this important? Because if you are new to TU Darmstadt, there are 2 different accounts you need to have. One for the HRZ and one for the ISP. The HRZ is the accounts that every student at TU Darmstadt gets. ISP is only for computer science students. So there are 2 different accounts with 2 different functions. So they share the same username, which is defined by HRZ, which has this 2 letters, 2 numbers, and 3 letters again. But they can have different passwords. So if this is completely new to you, we have a guide on d120.de/acc for account -en. Just open that and we have a guide explaining all the accounts and what they do, so like a shorter and more relaxed version than this talk here. So 2 accounts also means 2 email addresses. The main one is the HRZ email, which has your first name dot last name at stud.tu-darmstadt.de. This is the more important version. There is also a email for the ISP account, but that's not really used anymore, so that's not that relevant. Also, how to access that email, we have this on the account. Basically, there is a webmail option, which is called Roundcube, and we have an option of IMAP, so having it local on your mobile device or laptop. There is no option of forwarding the emails to a private account anymore. That is not possible anymore. That was possible in the past, but that's not a thing anymore. On this campus, we have Wi-Fi. It's called EduRoam. The thing is, you all have access, but you need to follow additional steps if you want to have access. There are separate so-called WLAN accounts, so Wi-Fi accounts, which you need to set up in the IDM portal from the HRZ. So just use the search engine of your choice, search for TU Darmstadt EduRoam, and there is a guide on the HRZ website in German and English which explains all these steps you need to follow to create these Wi-Fi accounts and then set them up in your device. There's also another step necessary for the some certificates in order to ascertain that this is a real EduRoam network, so follow that guide carefully. We also have a VPN service which is available for all students and staff at TU Darmstadt. This is, as you probably know, important for researching academic papers, because these wonderful institutions which we all love restrict access to academic papers. But our university has some has a selection of academic papers which you can download from our network, not from your own network. So in order to access those from within your own home network or somewhere else, you can use our VPN. How to access that? It's also there. The HRZ has a guide on their website. Yeah, just follow that. There is also the Athena card, which you probably all have already heard of, for paying at the Mensa. It's also used for the ULB. Probably also know that already. If you haven't applied for one, do that now. HRZ has a guide for that. HRZ has the central login system called SSO, single sign-on. If you see this window, it's appropriate to enter your credentials there. It will be updated in the coming days, so keep that in mind. But if you see a window that looks kind of different, then maybe don't enter your accounts there. Also, use a password manager for accessing that, it's always recommended. So HSE has also further services like a share LaTeX instance, so you don't have to have a Overleaf account or an Overleaf Pro account. It's only available for internally in the TU, so you can share with your peers and colleagues here and work on academic stuff. Yeah, we also have a GitLab instance, or not really we, that's by RWTH Aachen. You can also log in using your HSE credentials. HSE has also a myriad of other stuff like, TUCAN. The Campus Moodle Hessenbox is a file sharing service with 20 gigabytes of free storage. It's privacy-wise better than Dropbox. Lichtenberg high-performance computing clusters, and so on. Now for the stuff that's for computer science specifically. We have a computer pool downstairs here in this building. We have computers running Linux Mint. These are, in the picture you can see the old ones. We have new ones. They are usable using your ISP account, not your HSE account. These computer pools also have printers where you can have where you can print a maximum of 50 pages per month. They are automatically allocated to your account. And you can print either on the machines on the cpool itself or using the web interface at print.informatik. We also have a SSH service if you have the need to access some SSH servers hosted in this building by our department. They have some special software installed, but it depends on your lecture or course if you need that specific software, probably not. So, to close, the ISP also has a support site and a wiki if you have anything else that you want to know about the ISP. Apart from that, this was a very short run and I am on time. Okay. If there are any questions, maybe they have some time for some. There's an online question: is share LaTeX available via VPN? Yes, and it's also available without VPN. So it's just available sharelatex.tu-darmstadt.de. That's just a URL. You can access it from anywhere using the SSO. Yes. Yes. Yeah, cpool includes a scanner, but the LZE doesn't. Yeah. Email, apparently. Yeah.
Additional option to scan documents is in the ULB. You will find scan stations that are more optimized for scanning book pages, for example. Hi.
Further questions? Yes. Yes, RBG is the former name of ISP. Further questions? Perfect. Then on time I can okay, you have the slides will be uploaded to Moodle to the D120 Moodle course in the Lernportal Informatik. Okay. Then, okay, do you have time for 2 more questions? Okay. If I don't use printer for a month, can a limit be carried to next month? No. The pseudocode is if your page count is larger than 50, then no pages get added. If your page count else page plus equals 50. So the limit. It's 50 pages, and if it's more than 50 pages, no pages get added. So, does the Athena card I get from the bachelor's still work, or do I need to get a new one? It still works. Okay.
But in case there's a need for you to print more than 50 pages, there's a transfer function.
Yes.
So if you have different modules,
yes.
transfer some pages.
Yes. yes, if you want to make friends and ask for their page allocation, then yeah, you can do some communism and share. Okay.
Thanks, Joachim, for that short introduction into IT services.
Thanks.
Stream Ende. Thanks for the stream.